Well, we're following breaking news off the top of this newscast out of Maryland tonight. These are live pictures as the Associated Press is reporting multiple people have been shot on the campus of Morgan State University that is in Baltimore, Maryland. The university sent out a shelter-in-place message to students and staff in the area. Again, these are live pictures, so that shot's going to change as I'm talking here. The university's website says it's currently an active investigation underway after a shots fired report. This, again, is very much developing. It's unclear how many people, if any, were shot out of this, but it's obviously a massive, massive police presence there right now. We'll keep monitoring this. This, again, Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland. As soon as we get any new information, we'll update you both here on air and online at Dayton247now.com.
We're also following several big stories as we come on the air tonight.
And that includes an update to our crisis in the classroom investigation into the Tip City School Board and new information regarding our investigation into battery burning in Piqua and the concerns residents there have for the environment and their health. But we want to start off tonight with continued developing news out of the nation's capital, where the House doesn't have a leader. These are live pictures of the Capitol building, where for the first time in the history of the country, the House Speaker has been removed from the position by a vote.
The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
Now, naturally, many lawmakers reacting tonight to this historic day. That includes the person who spearheaded the whole thing, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. He accused McCarthy of breaking promises, folding to Democrats. Gaetz also took to social media, saying now the fight is on to find the next speaker.
Kevin McCarthy is a feature of the swamp. He has risen to power by collecting special interest money and redistributing that money in exchange for favors. We are breaking the fever now, and we should elect a speaker who's better. I would tell them that for certain Kevin McCarthy can't get 218 votes, so let's try the next person.
Gaetz was joined by 7 other Republicans in voting against McCarthy. That includes South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace. She says it came down to trust.
The House was going to be in chaos if this did not happen. I am looking for a speaker who will tell the truth to the American people, who will be honest and trustworthy with Congress, with both parties.
Now, Mace's vote came as a surprise to many. She was not part of the hardline Republican group forcing the vote. She said there were too many issues she cared about that saw no action.
And Kevin McCarthy announced tonight he will not run again. At this hour, it's not yet clear who will line up for the chance at the speaker role, but McCarthy did express he feels fortunate to have served in the role.
I don't regret standing up for choosing governance over grievance. It is my responsibility. It is my job. I do not regret negotiating. Our government is designed to find compromise.
Now, McCarthy says he leaves the role with a sense of pride, accomplishment, and optimism. He took the gavel in January after making concessions to party hardliners, However, those concessions allowed the motion today that ultimately cost him his job.
Now, the vote itself shaked up like this is what it shook up like from Ohio's representatives. Everyone voting along party lines. Democrats voting yay, Republicans no. Democrat Amelia Sykes of Akron was not there because of a personal matter. She said later that she would have voted in favor of ousting McCarthy.
More reaction tonight. This one from Congressman Greg Landsman, who posted to his X account saying, quote, "Most of us came here to govern. For me and my core, I believe in public service, the idea of people coming together on behalf of those we serve. Like so many of my colleagues, I find it deeply disturbing that we're dealing again with chaos and conflict that is halting our work," end quote.
And Ohio Representative Mike Turner expressing his support for the House Speaker, former House Speaker now, earlier today. He said on X, quote, "Ousting McCarthy is not the answer. This year, House Republicans have cut $2 trillion in spending, streamlined energy permitting, and rolled back soft on crime laws. You will hold Democrats responsible for their open-door immigration policies that have created our border crisis."
And local political leaders are reacting to the news. Earlier tonight, we spoke with Dr. Mark Clausen, who's a history and law professor at Cedarville University. He says this vote only shows the rift within the Republican Party. Now, he also goes on to say that this could have been predicted when McCarthy first took the speaker role.
We could see this coming way back when McCarthy was elected as speaker, as you pointed out. But I had a feeling that down the road that he would do something that would cross this group. This group is very ideologically driven on the right side, whereas the rest of the House tends to be more moderate than they are.
Now, the big question now is what happens next. Clausen says it's easier said than done to find a new speaker.
They obviously need to find a speaker who is a Republican. And this is not going to be as easy as they think because the Democrats are still sitting back and they're going to vote in a block. The Republicans are the ones who are going to have the hard time getting people enough votes to go with them for the speaker they want, or at least one they're willing to live with.
Clausen also went on to explain that they can't get work done until a new House Speaker is found. And with the newest budget deal in effect for only a little over a month, they're now on the clock to find the next candidate.
And we have more coverage from the vote today that ousted McCarthy over on our website, Dayton247now.com. This story and others like it, they're on our homepage in the Nation and World section.
An update tonight to our crisis in the classroom investigation. A Tip City board meeting, I should say, ending after 5 minutes tonight. And once again, board members failed to vote on who fills an empty seat. Lydia Bice was at that meeting and spoke one-on-one with one of the school board members about the recent controversy surrounding the Tip City Board of Education. So, Lydia, what did she have to say?
Yeah, after tonight's very brief meeting, I spoke with board member Teresa Dunaway, who told me that it has been a long 4 years for her, and now she is speaking out.
I would just have to say no, because the people that know me, the people that come to the board meetings, they know what kind of board member I've been. And the 25 people that run their mouths on the social media pages, they hate me for whatever reason. I don't care that they hate me.
Now, Lydia, there is still an open seat on that board. Is that right?
That's right. Former board president Simon Patry's seat is still open on the board. He resigned at a meeting in early September, the same meeting when board member Ann Zakor gave the Nazi salute to him. At last week's meeting, the board was unable to vote on filling his position because there weren't enough members in attendance. And at tonight's work session, they didn't vote on it either, so the decision will now head to a probate court judge in the coming weeks. Of course, we will keep you updated here on air and online if Simon Patry's spot on the board is filled. Now, multiple seats for the Tip City Board of Education will be open on November's ballot. Back to you.
All right, to weather now. Bottom line, it was hot today. It's fair to say that, right?
Yeah.
Did we break any records with this high?
A record to beat was 93, so not
quite.
Okay. But I mean, yeah, closer to the record than our normal for this time of the year. And many of us were very warm. 87 in Dayton, 87 in Troy, 86 in Sydney. Very warm, very summer-like day across the Miami Valley. So going to continue to feel the warmth again tomorrow. We got another hot one on the way. 60s across the board currently. We have 68 in Dayton, 65 in Troy, 64 currently up in Wapakoneta. So it is mild out there right now, and it's going to stay pretty mild as we head overnight. Lows eventually dropping to around 60, 62 is our official overnight low I have in the forecast. But we do have line of showers off to our west. That's going to be making its way in by Thursday with our cold front that will drop our temperatures. Until then, we got another hot one. So kids heading to school tomorrow, make sure you're dressed for summer because it will feel like it with highs in the upper 80s.
Well, we're getting answers after weeks of investigating. The Ohio EPA acknowledging that the Energy Safety Response Group, who were conducting battery burns at the Piqua Fire Training Facility, were issued a notice of violation. The city says there will be no further testing, but residents still have concerns. Gwyneth Falloon was in Piqua tonight speaking with protesters that were at tonight's City Commission meeting.
Tuesday's meeting was standing room only. The commission had an hour-long executive session to discuss pending or imminent litigation and personnel matters. This is according to the agenda. During this hour, dozens of community members protested outside, many demanding answers to the same questions. How many burns have taken place? What is the health and environment risk? And will there be future testing from the city?
They need to answer to the people. We shouldn't be left hanging. Answer our questions.
The Ohio EPA tells us it is reviewing the water and air collection samples from ESRG before making any recommendations to the city. ESRG is the company that was burning the batteries, and we have learned from an EPA citizen advisory the company has been taking samples over the last 3 years. Again, there are still many unknowns, but we're going to continue to follow this story and bring you the latest information as soon as it becomes available here on air and online. Back to you.
Gwen, thank you. Well, the Yellow Springs Village Council voted out Council President Brian Hausch at a meeting last night. Now this after council members accused him of appearing intoxicated during an incident with police last month. Hausch denies the accusations and says he was having a medical emergency. Hausch adds that he was not cited and has never received a DUI. Vice President Kevin Stokes appointed council president immediately afterwards. Hausch will remain on the council until 2025. And a reminder tonight, if you have a cell phone, tomorrow you can expect to see this message. It is just a test. The National Emergency Alert System is conducting a nationwide test tomorrow afternoon around 2:20. You can see here it says presidential alert. No action is needed. Now it'll have a unique tone and vibration. The test will also be conducted on TV and radio stations. FEMA does this test to make sure systems are good to go and effective in case of severe weather, amber alerts, and safety threats. This happens every 3 years.
Well, former nurse at Mount Carmel in Columbus facing charges accused of taking nude photos of an 11-year-old girl with hidden cameras in her bedroom and bathroom. 51-year-old Brian Trissel being held on $1 million bond. The girl's mother calling him a monster.
Now, we typically do not share the identities of victims in these crimes, but the mother of the young girl wanted their story heard. Here's Kate Seifert.
This was a little girl. A little girl.
A mom fighting for justice for her daughter in court today.
He's a monster. He is a monster that preyed on a child.
In August, Grandview Heights police said the juvenile victim told a staff member at her middle school that she found hidden cameras in her home. Detectives later found numerous recordings made by Brian Trissel of the victim while she was naked.
I tell her every day she was brave. She was brave to go to an adult and to speak her truth, and she never should be ashamed or never be afraid to do that.
The mother of the victim tells us she had a 10-year relationship with Trissel.
And that was really, really hard to swallow, that this man I trusted so much with my children, my family.
Trissel was an employee at Mount Carmel Hospital. We talked to a spokesperson there today who says they are aware of his arrest, but that Trissel is not actively working in any of its facilities and the allegations do not align with their values. The victim's mom told our team she reported Trissel to the Ohio Board of Nursing. When we checked in with them today, they said they could not confirm or deny the existence of a complaint, saying information received that's related to an investigation is confidential. But they did say Trissel has no past discipline on his nursing license.
And that was Kate Seifert reporting. Now, according to Grandview Heights Police, Trissel is facing charges of pandering obscenity involving a minor, tampering with evidence, and voyeurism. We do want to reiterate that we do not typically share the identities of victims in these types of crimes, but the family asked for their story to be shared.
A house explosion caught on camera. A look at that footage and the damage left behind.
2 proposed new Sheetz locations facing backlash tonight. A look at why and the possible next steps.
And we have one more hot day before we start to feel a little bit more like fall. That's coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
A Detroit home is in rubble. 7 others are damaged after an explosion. Neighbors say they reported the smell of gas days before it happened. Now, thankfully, nobody was hurt out of this, but some people are without a home. Kiara Hay has video and witness accounts of what happened.
Ring camera video capturing the explosion of a home on Detroit's west side.
All of a sudden we heard a noise sound like a bomb went off.
Audrey Say lives just a few doors down and tells us the home was vacant and undergoing renovations.
When you got out to the front and you looked out, what did you see?
The house was flat. Everything was gone.
Footage taken Monday afternoon showing the aftermath. DTE on scene investigating and now conclude the explosion was a result of a gas leak, though they claim it is not their equipment. Releasing a statement saying the incident was a result of at least one open fuel line on resident-owned equipment inside the home. 7 Action News learning this is the second time DTE was called to investigate this area in the past 2 days.
But it was reported a couple of times that there was gas smell by some of the neighbors, and actually last night they came out, but they were looking at the wrong house.
Several neighbors are now displaced, a GoFundMe page being started to help rebuild the block. But through the rubble, the community says they're thankful.
We just thank God that nobody was in the house that was just flattened to the ground. Praise God, both hands up.
Now, experts say it's important to regularly inspect devices and appliances that use natural gas. They say signs of a leak include that rotten egg smell, hissing sounds, air bubbles outside, and dying plants.
Well, it's been hot over these past several days, and the reason why is because we have this ridge aloft, our jet stream, which is a river of fast moving air aloft. And what it's doing is basically adding a little division between our warm air and our cold air. And it's also the forcing mechanism that really just moves storm systems across the world. And this is what's going to send a cold front through the area as we head into later this week. So by our Friday, Saturday time frame, really this weekend, cold air settles in. Well below normal temperatures are expected as that jet stream dips well south of the Miami Valley. In fact, a lot of the central and eastern U.S. will be dealing with some of that cool weather. But we also have some rain on the way, so clouds increase during the day on Wednesday, and then Thursday, rain expected for the second half of the day. Plan on scattered showers, light to moderate rain. That will linger into early Friday before cooler air takes over. I'll talk about how much rain we're expecting and how cold we'll get behind the front coming up.
2 proposed Sheetz locations just miles apart are facing some pushback tonight. Kettering and Centerville will have to decide if they want the company to move in or not. Jenna Lee Bork took a look into what's going on with each one of them.
Last night, Kettering City Planning Commission made a recommendation to the City Council that they deny Sheetz' request to rezone a vacant lot, stating that it doesn't fit into the city's comprehensive plan.
We have a relatively narrow series of criteria that any rezoning request is reviewed under, and if the request doesn't meet those criteria, then we have to recommend denial. And this particular request didn't meet the criteria.
And over in Centerville, the proposed Sheetz location is being opposed by Epiphany Lutheran Church, according to an email we received. In that email, the church cites traffic and safety concerns for children since they're a state-accredited preschool. The Centerville Planning Commission did approve the Sheetz site back in August. As for Kettering, the City Council will certify that they received the Planning Commission's recommendation at their meeting next Tuesday. Then they'll hold a public hearing about it, and readings of the rezoning ordinance will be done. Back to you.
Well, it may be October, but the summer heat is sticking around. Some parts in the plains and upper Midwest saw temperatures reach the 90s over the weekend, and the ongoing heat wave is forecast to continue the next few days as well and spread into the Northeast and even New England. These high temperatures come after NASA scientists said earlier this year the Earth had its hottest summer on record in 2023.
All right, here's a live look from our Eco-Plumber Skycam over downtown Dayton tonight, and we can confirm it is hot, and if you come outside, you're not going to get cooled off. It's kind of soupy, I guess is the best way to put it.
It's not a nice, cool, crisp evening that we would perhaps have this time of the year, but we have some in the forecast.
Yeah, and they're coming up soon.
Yeah, by this weekend, it's looking pretty good. Tonight, though, not necessarily a cool night. We'll be well above normal, about 10 degrees above normal overnight. And then eventually we get some rain making its way in. So heading into Thursday, early Friday, we'll be tracking showers, and we could potentially see about 1/4 of an inch to up to 1/2 inch of rainfall across the Miami Valley. through the end of the week. So much needed rain still in the forecast. Thursday into Friday will be a light to moderate rain, and most of it will be late Thursday and into early Friday. And then once that rain moves out, temperatures really begin to fall. So our high temperatures by Saturday, Sunday, we're tracking right around 60 to even upper 50s by our Sunday.
Trauma survivors reunited with those who helped saved their lives. Now we're going to hear from a survivor about what this means for him. Next, you're watching Dayton 24/7 now. Right, Pat, taken to social tonight to warn you about an upcoming training exercise planned for this week. It's happening Thursday at noon. Now, you're being reminded not to call 911. The hospital, including the pharmacies, will close at noon, so you may need to plan around that. However, the emergency room will remain open during the training.
Miami Valley Hospital's Level 1 Trauma Center hosting its annual Trauma Survivors Celebration tonight. That event is meant to honor trauma patients who beat the odds and recognize their journey to recovery. Now, the event gave survivors a chance to reconnect with local first responders, trauma nurses, and surgeons that helped save their lives. One survivor honored tonight was Officer Eric Ney of Clear Creek Township, who was shot in the head while on duty last year. Now, he talked us through what it was like seeing those who cared for him after the shooting.
I was glad to see them. I was glad to come here. That was the main thing tonight, was to just, since I can't remember, My wife walked in here and she was giving hugs to so many people because she remembers them. I don't remember them at all, so I was giving them hugs too. So that's just awesome just to be able to do that and see the people that actually took care of me and thank them with all my heart.
Well, that trauma program manager says hearing survivors' stories helps them remember why they do what they do in that trauma center. Well, on this month's Tales of Love, it's a story of a family giving a dog a chance when no one else would. The story of Gordo, the dog, is next.
You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.